call ourselves the Elite.
Better than you, and you know it.
If not us, who? And if not now, when?
We don't care about race or gender or sex or religion. If you're an elite athlete, we want you.
They want an alternative. They want something different to watch.
Change the world. We are going to change the whole universe!
They saw what wrestling was and realized what it could be.
All Elite Wrestling!
For the 9th time, it's Monday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for the next chapter of the only professional wrestling podcast that is changing the world every week. This is Seeing the Elite, an AEW podcast. I am your host, Bryce Reed. I am joined by my friend, my co-host, my tag team partner, Mr. Jonathan Davis.
How's it going, buddy?
We are less than 1 week away from Double or Nothing as we're recording this. It's Sunday. As you're hearing it, it's Monday. And Double or Nothing is on Saturday night in the United States.
Sunday morning everywhere else.
Right, Monday morning. The people will be watching it as our next podcast is coming out. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Jonathan and I are two friends, fans, lovers of professional wrestling who are here every single Monday morning with all the latest news from All Elite Wrestling. This is not a sports entertainment show. It's an entertaining sports show supported by fans like you from all over the world on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and podcast services everywhere. Subscribe, review, give us 5 stars for the love of God, because I just keep making the copy at the beginning of the show more and more verbose every week. Facebook.com/Seeing the Elite if you want to stay updated with us on Facebook for some reason. But most importantly, here's what I want. I want you to go to tinyurl.com/Seeing the Elite. Join our Discord server. We are just a few days away from starting our Pro Wrestling Scorecard League. The winner of this Pro Wrestling Scorecard League, it's a prediction sheet that you fill out for what's going to happen at Double or Nothing, who's going to pin, who's going to eat pins. Apparently, some matches are still up in the air, as we'll talk about later. The winner of which will receive a golden championship roll, so everyone on the server will know that you're the champ, and you can lord it over everybody, as well as an exclusive special edition Pro Wrestling Tees 8x12 Double or Nothing poster by artist Jonathan Bartlett. This is for our Discord people only, so join the Discord, come and talk about AEW with us, with fans from all over the world, and get involved with our league. Become the champ. We need a champion. So I want to
before we get any further, you have until the pre-show starts to submit your cards.
Right. You can't put your shit in after the pre-show. Scorecards will be posted at around noon Eastern time on May 22nd.
That would be Wednesday.
Yeah, on Wednesday, that's when we're gonna roughly post the cards in the Discord, and then you just have to submit them to our moderator Anthony, brother Tony, my brother, and he'll take care of it from there. Whether you print it out and write it out, or you use a Photoshop or whatever to add text, either way, it'll be a PDF file that you can use and then submit to us, and you'll be part of the thing, man. And we're excited because the longer I keep this poster in my house, the more tempted I am to just hang it up myself and say, fuck all y'all, right? So
shocking how that shit works.
So I got to get it out of the house. I got to ship it to somebody, unless I win. And then, okay. I want to start out with a quote that was collected by Tommy Massano for CageSideSeats.com. In an interview with TV Insider, Chris Jericho was asked about AEW's impact on the pro wrestling business and if WWE is watching what the upstart promotion is doing. And quote from Jericho, he says, "I'm not surprised. I will say this. Everyone in WWE owes Chris Jericho." Thank you. Because the moment I signed with AEW, it became legit. That's when everybody started getting these huge raises not to go. It was very similar to what happened to Bobby Hull in the early 1970s when he signed with WHA, World Hockey Association, for $1 million. Every other player got a huge raise to not jump with him. My dad, in quotes, Ted Irvine, went from $35,000 to a $100,000 a year because they didn't want him to go to WHA. It's the same thing for Vince McMahon is doing with WWE. That may sound like I misquoted it, but that's what's written. He then continues, "This is a war. Even if you don't want it to be, it just is. There hasn't been any competition for WWE on a national basis for 20 years or more. I think it is something that they really didn't want. But it's great for the fans and it's great for the guys. I think in the long run, it's going to make a difference because it gives people a choice, and it's always good to have a choice."
Yeah, I mean, it makes complete sense to have a choice here, and it's true. There has not been any real competition to WWE in 20 years, which has let, McMahon run ramshot across the industry and do whatever he feels like, whenever he feels like it, which is what's led to what we have now with the current WWE product. Now, I don't know if this will end up getting people in WWE any raises. It may get them some free time off.
It already has.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's working, but, we got some people like Luke Harper who's just getting paid to sit at home, amongst other things. And then, as for AEW, it's a buyer's market out there. So this could be just exactly what the industry needs to get that kick to keep moving along and evolving properly as it should, and get these guys away from that independent contractor bullshit.
Two pieces of news related to this. We collected a lot of news this week. There's a huge news week. Some stuff falls by the wayside because it's just not very important in the long run, or because it's just sort of just talk. You know what I mean? But two things I want to say related to this news story that aren't in the document. The first being that a behind-the-scenes WWE executive producer was at a television conference this past week and was asked if they see AEW as competition. And his response, which was sort of a dodge of the question, was to say that he believes in the same thing that Reed Hastings has said in the past, Netflix CEO Reed Hastings, in that sleep is competition. So of course, anything when your whole product is built around people spending time on it, like it is in entertainment, yeah, of course they see AEW as competition, which again is a question dodge, but an important thing to note for entertainment companies. Yes, they see AEW as competition. Disney sees AEW as competition, and especially once they have a streaming service up. Everybody does, regardless of whether or not they're a wrestling company, because you have to understand that they're also a content creator, right?
Yeah, I think the more important distinction here is of why WWE potentially sees them as a competitor is that, WWE puts out, 8 to 10 hours of content a week, not in pay-per-view weeks?
Yeah.
And AEW is potentially putting out maybe 2.
Yeah.
So it's much easier to keep up with AEW and stay current and with what's going on when you have a show to watch compared to 12 hours.
And for most people, That's enough, man.
Yeah, it's more than enough. I mean, there is really no reason for the amount of content that WWE puts out a week. It's saturation, and it's oversaturation.
Like, I really like pro wrestling, but like when we were doing the Lucha Underground show, that was an hour a week. That was really all I needed for, like, as long as it's good. Like, if it's fucking good, then hell yeah. It doesn't matter
that's really the big distinction. It's like if you're producing good content, quality over quantity every single time, man.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game. And if AEW is doing a 2-hour a week show and they're just continually putting out good matches, then that's all we need.
The other important piece of news that didn't make the roll this week is Jericho has developed a new finishing move, which is a spinning back elbow. It'll be interesting to see how he employs that. It does seem a little sudden for a finishing move. Like, there's really no setup or fanfare to it whatsoever. But there isn't two Black Mass either, and I think that's a great finishing move, right? So
yeah, and if you look at it, that video he posted, this is so much easier on his body than the Code Breaker.
I fucking love the Code Breaker, though, dude.
I do too, but with his age now, him just taking a hit to the back 2 to 3 times a match isn't really the greatest idea anymore.
Yeah.
So the spinning elbow, while it doesn't have that much lead up or fanfare, man, it's a brutal hit, and if done properly, he can knock some people onto sideways street.
No, this is also potentially just a setup for this match, right? Him revealing it in this video ahead of the match, right? And then he pulls it out the first time, and Omega just has an answer for it because he revealed he was gonna fucking do it, right? Like, yeah. So I can see that being the case. But either way, people should be prepared for that. It's a spinning back elbow from Jericho. I don't know where that video went up. Maybe
I saw it on Instagram.
Yeah,
his Instagram.
His Instagram, I think maybe is where it would have gone.
Yeah, because I saw like a clip of, or just briefly as I was scrolling through stuff, and then I went on to YouTube to try and find the full video, and there was nothing there. So I was like, okay, back to Instagram. So the whole video is like a minute and a half on Instagram.
What a horrible platform to do a video that long on. Being the Elite episode 151 tag team action. What a fun episode this was. Opens in a back alley where Matt and Nick excitedly greet pretty Peter Avalon, a.k.a. one of the librarians.
One of, yeah.
Peter expresses confusion and dismay over the librarian being double cast. At the end of his rope, Peter requests his release from AEW. This was
such a shot, dude.
Such a dig, man. Matt and Nick refuse Peter Avalon's request for release. Matt threatens to send Peter home, where he will, quote, collect paycheck after paycheck after paycheck, end quote. Nick then threatens to make Peter, quote, spend Christmas Day at his home, end quote. Matt threatens to double his salary, and Peter finally hushes them both with that sweet, sweet shush that only a true librarian could do. Peter then...
Part of this whole thing, though, was it wasn't just a straight shot at WWE. This was a shot at every fucking wrestling promotion.
It was a shot kind of at...
Mostly WWE. But
mostly
also,
WWE, because WWE does do it. But yeah, wrestling promotions will be like, oh, we're going to send you home and pay you to do nothing. It's like, well, like it shows like how ridiculous being reprimanded as a wrestler typically is in a company. You know what I mean? Like these guys go through some hard shit, but like,
their punishments are like, oh yeah, you go home and you sit at home for 3 months,
and we're still gonna pay you. Peter then walks away. He says, I'm in. I know there's two, but I'm gonna be the best librarian. Exits the scene. Matt says he's glad Peter agreed to return home before they had to, quote, threaten to humiliate him every week on their YouTube series.
This is the most fucked up thing is because that's not even really a threat because you guys would do it anyway.
But that also is a reference to what's going on at WWE with the Revival. where they're probably on the way out, and so WWE is. Look, I don't watch the show. I only hear what people say, but I'm sure they're being covered in diarrhea or something like that. That seems like something Vince.
God knows what the hell's happening. But yeah, this was just a hilarious sequence of what was going on, because it's a shot at WWE, it's a shot at Lucha Underground, it's a shot at Impact even right now.
Right.
And it was just like, damn, boys, we're going there.
We then hit the title sequence. The next scene is a hilarious video with the returning MJF, who's been off the show for a couple of weeks now, live from Hip Toss Creek, which is apparently the name of Cody's pool and poolside bar area.
Sure, it's fine. It's fine.
In selfie mode, MJF watches his BFF to death, Cody, aka the roller coaster, as he says in the video, do a backflip into the pool. Both of them just freak out. Cody swims to the near side of the pool and holds up a piece of paper with the number 10 on it as MJF yells, "Woo! Perfect 10, baby! Fuck you, Sean Spears!" Sean Spears.
That's the best part, dude.
Sean Spears is the independent name for the Perfect 10 Ty Dillinger from WWE. That's the joke here.
It was just so good. The MJF was back in his ass kiss mode, and it was just fuck you, Sean Spears. I'm like, okay, damn, boys.
They do an AEW high five to end the vid. I thought it was funny. MJF, when he's around Cody, is so fucking funny.
Dude, he really is. And it's not just when he's around Cody, but that whole complete personality shift as soon as Cody walks away is the greatest fucking thing.
It's so good. It's so good. I hope they keep it up. Cut to exterior night. Matt and Nick are giving Brandon Cutler the opportunity to select the very first card from the deck. This will determine his position in the Casino Battle Royale at the buy-in at Double or Nothing, live from the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada on May 25th. 2019. Matt once again says that the contestants are drawing from a standard deck, but there's no way this is true.
No, there have to be 52 fucking people.
Right.
54. It'd have to be, or 53 people.
Right, and the groups would have to be much bigger. A standard deck contains 13 cards of each suit and 2 jokers. So separating a group of 21 into 4 groups of 5 and 1 group of 1 by the way of the suit that you draw and 1 joker at random using a standard deck would be leaving a great deal to chance. It's just, it wouldn't work out that way. You'd end up with like 7 or 8 people who have clubs or something like that.
Right, and potentially no one that had diamonds.
Right.
Again, no one that had the joker. Because you have 1 in 54 chance of pulling the Joker. Okay,
or 2 people with Joker.
Yeah,
like
it's a little silly, but I mean I understand why they're doing the gimmick. They have to make it seem as real as possible. But we all know this is a deck of 21 cards.
Yeah, if you do a little bit of the math, it just doesn't really work.
The funniest part of this is that they're doing this in the entryway of a Holiday Inn or something outside, not in their room.
You can see the palm trees in the background and shit.
Yeah, it was great. I thought that was the funniest part to me. I was like, why the fuck are they standing outside?
And Nick fucks with Cutler a little bit, telling him that his card is his ticket into the MGM Grand, has a special barcode on it and shit. Right?
Don't lose that.
The Bucks ask him to keep his card a secret, and then Cutler draws, and then they immediately ask him what he drew. But then Matt
line was the fucking best.
Matt says if you drew the Joker, it'd be a huge disappointment to the entire wrestling industry, so we'll probably have to reshoot the whole scene. But he doesn't tell us what he drew. That's sort of the end of that scene. As far as notable stuff, we only know that Cutler's definitely in, which we more or less knew anyway.
Yeah, I'm assuming we'll have a couple more of these scenes in this week's Being the Elite.
I would be okay with
none.
All of this week's Being the Elite.
Yeah, I don't see that happening, though, because I know they are saving some spaces in the battle royale for surprises.
Sure.
But yeah, I'd be the same. It'd be nice to know before we went in, just a 15-minute video of them just wandering in random ass places, having people draw a card.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a bunch of those at least in a montage of some kind. Yeah. And then inserted here is the Angelico Jack Evans video we talked about last week. Terrible, shitty audio and all.
It was better in this, but yeah, I agree. I kind of felt a little bit like
leak. Like, I don't know why it wasn't saved.
I don't think it was leaked. I just feel like they had intended to put this in Road to Double or Nothing and have a actual, put together sequence, but with the timing of how everything's been happening, they ran out of time, so they just put it here. It had more footage on this one than the one I saw before, which I enjoyed better. It gave you a little more of a, whole picture kind of a thing. So I'm down for this. I can't wait to see these guys. I love these guys, and the little hype video is still well done besides the audio issues.
Yeah, at the end there's like a short sort of hype video for those that still need an introduction to these guys from them wrestling all over the place. These guys have been a tag team for fucking ever.
Yeah, but they've spent a lot of time in Mexico, so I can understand people not being as familiar with them.
For sure. I'm not holding that against anybody. Angelico and Jack Evans are officially elite. The Bucks are in the ring at Bar Wrestling for the next segment and shaking more of the rust off, but they have a secret mission as well, and that's to sign someone here at Bar Wrestling. That's all they announce, and then they come back later. But first, cut to OWE's training facility in Shanghai, China, where SCU is having a difficult time auditioning Chinese talents for Shanghai Uncensored. SCU!
Shanghai, China Uncensored. Get it right. This whole segment would have went over completely better if they'd stopped it as soon as those three guys from OWE said it.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of this scene was like the timing was slow on the joke, and the joke was like kind of funny, but it needed to be edited down significantly. And I'm surprised nobody did afterwards, because the editing that they did was just really weird, and kind of by the time it got to finish the actual joke, it was like, okay, yes, okay.
It's probably one of those things that the SCU guys sent this over to Matt or Nick like the day before they planned to drop this episode, and then there was just no time to actually edit it.
Yeah, I would imagine, because if there were time to edit it, I fucking would have.
I imagine it had to do a lot with the time difference of those guys being in China versus everybody else being in California.
Yeah. It just could have been executed so much better. Like it's pretty clear for the first two auditions that there's nobody there because of the way that they stage it. And then the third one, they actually have someone there, and then their reaction shot to it is so slow. It's the whole thing should have been faster, and that's unfortunate because I don't think it's a bad joke. I just think it wasn't executed very well. Me, sort of a comedy professor over here, I guess.
Right.
The next scene is a sequel to last week's The Bucks did a cool move but didn't catch it on camera gag. This one using Joey Ryan as a distraction. This I thought was pretty well done and pretty funny. For what it is, for sort of a repeat from a joke from last week. And hopefully they actually pull out some really cool new moves during this match. I should hope so, considering they've been off the road for fucking like 6 months.
You're gonna be fucking disappointed, dude. This is gonna be just the Meltzer driver or some shit, man.
We then move to a great scene with Hangman. I think Michael's secret stuff is beginning to have an effect on him. Cut to a steroid-fueled training montage.
By the craziest thing, man.
By the end of it, Paige is pulling an entire Pepsi truck by himself. He says, "That's just an example of how I'm a manhandle, Pac." we'll see about that. We're going to talk about that later.
I like the one finger pull-ups too. And 3,000. Yeah, like, okay, motherfucker. Yeah, you're strong. I will give you that. You are in shape and everything. You are not doing 3,000 one finger pull-ups.
It's like that training sequence in Cool Runnings.
Yeah, it really was.
Seika's doing the pull-ups, and then it pans down, and John Candy's just lifting him up and down.
Yeah, that's exactly how it felt. Between this and then the additional video that went up on the Being the Elite channel of SCU workout montage of what the fuck we're doing Rocky 4.
That's the one thing I actually haven't seen yet from this week.
I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched like half of it, but in the first like 2 minutes, they pull up and they're in. I eat probably like somewhere in like Denver or some shit where there's still snow on the ground, and they're like all in. Two of them are in shorts, and the other one's like actually prepared for this, and they're like, "The fuck are we doing up here? Were we doing Rocky 4?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, we are."
Next scene is the Bucks are at bar wrestling. Joey Ryan has just lost his match as the Bucks come out to talk with the crowd. They congratulate Joey for getting out of his, quote, lifetime contract with Lucha Underground. Thanks, Dorian, you fucking asshole.
All of that makes no sense.
What?
That Dorian's losing his fucking mind over all this when they have a partnership with him.
Dude, it makes sense. Dorian sucks. Dorian fucking sucks. Dorian has sucked since day one, and he still sucks now. Maybe more than he ever sucked. He continues to suck.
Yeah.
Oh man. The whole lifetime contract thing, by the way, is exaggerated greatly, but we got to take our lumps. It's not my problem anymore to defend it, thankfully. And Dorian isn't making it fucking easy. God damn it. Matt remarks that it is nice to see that Joey can defend himself again, which I guess is the end to that storyline, which, wow, what a waste of time. Then Nick announces that they are here to sign somebody. Joey says he can't sign anything until his lawyer reads it. I did like that.
Yeah, that was the greatest part. I can't do this by myself anymore.
The Bucks say they're not here to sign Joey, then turn to Rick Knox, who we reported last week as having signed. This event had happened just before our recording last week. Matt Jackson says, Rick Knox, get your ass right here. I know we've had our differences of opinion for the last about 10 years now. You've clotheslined us out of our shoes. We've super kicked a couple of your front teeth out. You've cost us multiple championship titles. But I gotta say this, you're one guy that we absolutely love sharing the ring with. We've been in the business for 15 years. We've had every single referee from all over the world, but damn it, Rick, you're the best. And if there's any person in Southern California who deserves to have a full-time gig doing this, someone who could quit his day job and make a really good living, it's Rick Knox. Want to say fuck right off to the guy yelling "get a lawyer" during this. Like, it's just he's one of those guys. Like, you can just tell he's one of those fucking guys. It's like not everything in the show is an opportunity for you to riff at the top of your lungs to try to get yourself over with the crowd. Like, get a podcast like Jonathan and I. You want to do that shit?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I mean, you and I both know some guys that are the same fucking way. It is what it is, but I'm with you, man. It's like people need to just calm down. But when you're at an event, especially like bar wrestling, where it's encouraged, like, hey, come get drunk and watch wrestling, you kind of got to expect some shit.
Yeah, I mean, but you can tell when you're at a wrestling show, you can tell when you're supposed to say things and when you're supposed to let the moment happen, right? And people with suck shit. Skills. I hate this fucking idiot. Oh my God. It just bothered me. It was like, wow, really? This really touching moment for Rick, and you're trying to make jokes over the top of it like a fucking prick.
Everybody's got to get over, man.
Matt continues, we're wrestling the Lucha Bros on May 25th in Las Vegas. We need you to be our referee that night and every night after that. Rick Knox, what do you say? Will you sign with AEW? Rick Knox does the only thing a man can do in this position, a Mega Powers handshake and a Macho Man. Oh, yeah. It's great for Rick. We talked about this last week. We're going to talk about it a little more later, but awesome to see Rick Knox get that opportunity.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I'm very happy to see him coming through into AEW. He's a great ref. I really enjoyed a lot of his work in Lucha Underground. I know he does a lot of good stuff on the indies. So I'm totally down for this, especially if he's going to be like one of the more senior officials. Absolutely, let's do it.
We then move into supposedly a new segment for the show, being the Elite Mailbag, which I'm genuinely shocked isn't just a setup for a bit.
Fucking told you, dude.
It is real, actual questions being answered. Matt answers the first question, which asks, who came up with the name All Elite Wrestling?
I will say this was the actually, honestly, the worst segment of the show because the audio was ass through the whole thing.
Audio's pretty bad for all of these. Matt, it's not that hard to get a lapel mic that connects to your phone. I just want to make that clear.
It's not, but they'd need a bunch of them.
But for Matt and Nick,
I agree. Yeah,
at least like Matt and Nick should have them.
Yeah. Kenny too.
Kenny,
Hangman, no, that's fine.
Right. I'm saying, when Sammy Guevara sends something in or whatever, okay. When SCU sends something in, okay. But like Matt, Nick, and Cody and Kenny should have them and know how to use them.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Yeah.
Matt says the project started as a conversation between himself, Tony Khan, and Matt's wife, Dana. The original name was World's Best Wrestling, which may lend credence to Punk having been asked first, with his gimmick having been best in the world, right? And then it's World's Best Wrestling, which it's a terrible name. It was
ungodly bad. Yeah.
It's really bad. It sounds like something that like a kid would write on like a championship title that he made out of paper.
Yeah, it's kind of the name that you would have for like your backyard wrestling league.
It was Matt who didn't like it / wanted Elite in the title, so it became World's Elite Wrestling. Perhaps an even worse name.
Yeah.
I have it written in the notes here. Note, this name sucks. Finally, All Elite Wrestling was chosen as it ties together All In and the Elite brands. And it is like good.
Yeah, it's an actual, usable title that doesn't sound like a 12-year-old came up with it.
Right. Next, Kenny answers the question. He is asked if he will have new music for AEW, and then he spends about a minute and a half, 2 minutes to say yes.
I honestly could not tell what he was talking about because I just could not hear it. So that's one spot where I waited for your notes to come. I was like, oh, okay, that's what they were talking about.
He reveals no real new information. He just says he's working with the musician and he's going to have new music. Oh, it's like, okay. You could have just waited for the show, though. You know what I mean? What a waste of a question. You could have just waited for the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. At the same time, I was bummed by this segment because, I couldn't hear anything, but also,
right.
We didn't get any of Kenny's fever dreams this week. And that's just a bummer.
Next, Hangman answers a question. A fan is brewing a beer for Double or Nothing. He wants to know which name is better, the Cleaner DIPA or Hoppy or Nothing. Both of these names are not very good. Hangman then chooses not to answer the question and offers his own ideas instead.
Probably because he agrees that, oh yeah, those suck.
Yeah, I would say neither of these. He offers AEW EVP, Executive Vice Porter, which is kind of clever, the SCU Brew, and the Full Beer Challenge, which are at least a little sort of smarter references.
The last one, that just sounds like a drinking game, though.
Hangman is visibly upset that he can't have one until after the show. Yeah,
dude, he's having such a hard time. And I feel bad for him because they're gonna keep this Full Gear Challenge thing going, and he's just never gonna get to drink again.
Cut back to Kenny, who says he wants to make BTE Mailbag a static segment on the show. So submit your questions using the hashtag BTE Mailbag on Twitter. We should think of one to do at some point.
Hey guys, will you listen to our podcast?
Kenny then drops a new Double or Nothing match on us right then and there. Aya Kong, Yuka Sakazaki, and Emi Sakura versus Hikaru Shida, Ryo Abe. I don't know how. Abe?
Abe.
Oh, okay. Abe and Ryo Mizunami. A 6-person tag team match between all Asian female talent.
It's Joshi wrestling at its finest, dude. This is going to be a badass match.
I'm sure it's going to be great. I'm sure it's going to turn a lot of heads. Joshi wrestling, huge fan base internationally, not something that's really broken in the U.S. because WWE only has like 3 of them, and they have 3 of the fucking best ones.
They have the 3 best women from Stardom and Joshi wrestling, but it's typical WWE bullshit. Honestly, if Stardom was easier to watch in the U.S., I think it would take off more, but it's kind of difficult to get content as it's happening.
I think it's going to be a big match. I think people are really going to enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty stoked for this because, I mean, anytime when we can have an opportunity to show that women's wrestling is legit and not the bullshit that we had in the Attitude Era, I'm down for it.
Hell yeah, man! Which is why it's weird. They posted that photo shoot earlier this week.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
All the comments on it were like, "This seems
this is like the Attitude Era.
This
guys.
seems out of place."
Yeah.
They weren't even great shots either. Whoever the
they're
photographer was, they weren't really good shots.
It felt like somebody's like college portfolio project.
It felt like they were already there, and then they were just like, take some pictures, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what happened.
Really feels like that was the case.
Final segment, the Bucks call Trent on FaceTime. He misses the first call because he's trying to tape a statue back together using painter's tape.
It was so fucked up. He's just sitting there with this guy. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
I love it. I love that, like, instead of, like, having him at the gym or something, like, he's doing something that's, like, kind of weird. But he must have had a reason for doing, like, it legitimately seemed like they called him out of the blue when he wasn't expecting it, right?
Yeah, it's the setup for this was amazing.
On the second call, a guilty-looking Trent nervously answers the call. The Bucks immediately ask Trent if he'd like to say hello to some of their family members, and then turn the phone to a large collection of children who wave happily at Trent.
Oh man, that was great, dude. Just called out fucking immediately.
Matt says, "Hey Trent, why don't you tell them what you and Chuck wanted to do to them last week?" Trent says, "Are you talking about the murder threat thing?" Matt says, "Yeah, exactly." Trent immediately goes, "That wasn't me. That was Chuck. You saw it. I pushed him."
Just like thrown under the bus immediately.
I just love the line, "Are you talking about the murder threat thing?"
No, we called you out of nowhere for no fucking reason, buddy.
Matt says he can't believe that they would do this after the Bucks not only hired the Best Friends, but hired Jerry Lynn to be the Best Friends' own personal road agent.
Oh man, yeah, dude, that's amazing shit right there.
For the uninitiated, the Jerry Lynn thing is a reference to Chuck and Trent's hilarious High Spot shoot interview series, Best Friends with Chuck and Trent, Poppin' Dogs and Talkin' Hogs, wherein asking the guests for Jerry Lynn stories was a recurring segment. And so the idea is that they're like super obsessed with Jerry Lynn and The Rock, but I think The Rock was probably a little harder to get a hold of. Trent says he's sorry about the murder threat, but Battle Royal action is really not what the Best Friends are looking for. The Bucks ask Trent what kind of action he is looking for, and Trent says tag team action.
He just seemed so fucking angry about this that they were even asking what they want to do for the show. And I was like, calm down, buddy. I mean, clearly they're fucking with you.
Matt agrees, and we see a little title card that says best friends will have tag team action at Double or Nothing. Trent says that's great, but he just wants a little bit more specifics. We then see a title card for what will be the final match, hopefully, unless everybody quits in the next week. Best Friends versus Angelico and Jack Evans, which is going to be a fucking great match.
Jack Evans may die. Just being honest, man.
Trent,
it's going to be a badass match. I'm excited as hell for it, but Jack Evans may die.
And there's going to be great character and it's going to be funny, and it's going to be super athletic. It's going to be a great match, man. I think them with the shackles off, with great production at Double or Nothing, I think it's going to be awesome.
The biggest thing about this match could possibly make it or break it is if the ring mics aren't set up properly, because Jack is one of the best about shit talking in the middle of the ring during a match.
And Chuck and Trent are really funny too. So hopefully the ring mics will be better than they were at All In. That was kind of an issue at All In. So Trent promises to never threaten to murder the Bucks family again, and they all bury the hatchet.
It's just hilarious that this has to be said.
At least it seems they bury the hatchet at first until Trent hangs up and starts acting a little weird before the ending.
I really hope that they keep going with this whole thing of Trent being a goddamn psychopath.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking hilarious.
Maybe they're leading up to having the best friends explode again.
We don't even have to do that, but
in
just
AEW.
Just some crazy shit leading up to a match against the Young Bucks, because it's going to happen at one point or another. But just the whole thing of him acting crazier and crazier until they get the match that they clearly want is going to be awesome, dude. And I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, man. But that was Being the Elite episode 151, Tag Team Action. Jonathan, get a pad ready, because we got a lot of news to get through, and then we're doing predictions before we get out of this fucking show. So I want to first talk about the announcements for the referee team. This comes to us from Brian Rose at F4WOnline.com. Earl Hebner, along with a number of other referees, have joined All Elite Wrestling. The longtime referee was announced as joining the roster tonight on AEW's Twitter. AEW also announced today that Aubrey Edwards, also known as Girl Hebner, and Paul Turner...
terrible name.
and Paul Turner have joined as AEW referees. Edwards has... refereed in the Pacific Northwest area, including Defy Wrestling. Turner has previously been a referee for Ring of Honor. PWG referee Rick Knox and former Chikara referee Bryce Remsburg have also signed with AEW, with Knox being announced on the latest episode of Being the Elite. Hebner is best known for being a referee in the WWE from 1988 to 2005, and perhaps is more infamously known as being the referee in the Survivor Series 1997 match between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. It was Hebner who made the call to ring the bell once Michaels had put Hart in the sharpshooter, despite Hart not submitting. After being fired by the WWE in 2005 for selling merchandise without WWE's permission, Hebner joined Impact Wrestling and was part of the promotion until 2007 when they parted ways. So those are, I guess, the five that we're going to see refereeing. Aubrey Edwards, Paul Turner, Bryce Remsburg, Rick Knox, and Earl Hebner.
Yeah, we may also see one or two more. Along with the announcement of the referee team, one of the things I saw that was announced is that all AEW referees will be receiving emergency first responder type training, including CPR, the paddles, the paddle bag, and everything like that, which is in direct response to the Silver King thing that happened, last week. I'm a little surprised that more referees don't have this training, and I imagine some do, but I do think it's a good thing that they are being it sucks that something had to happen, but being proactive after the fact is always a good thing.
Yeah, we talked about this incident last week, Silver King dying in the ring of assumedly a heart attack, although I don't know if we've actually gotten the cause of death or if we ever will.
We probably won't, dude. Happening in the UK and then being part of that lucha community, that's one that you'll just never know.
But it definitely looks like it was a heart attack. And what surprised me, although I guess I just never thought of it before, I'm like, wait, you don't have to have CPR training to be a fucking referee? Like, you would think you would. And it would be one thing if like getting CPR training was like super hard. It's a 1-day course. It's one fucking day to go and do it.
I had it as a part of some training that I have to do through work. I did it. It was a couple of years ago. They asked us after the training, like, how many people of you are CPR certified? And it was like, 5 or 7 of us that raised our hands. Like, okay, stick around after the course. We're going to go through all of that, and then you'll be certified after that because you need it for this, but it's also just good to have. Dude,
I've done it twice just because.
Yeah. It's something, honestly, everyone should have this. It's a little bit, to me, it's something that should be taught in high school as part of your senior courses.
Yeah.
Just to know.
But beyond that, in such an athletic competition where people are pushing their bodies so much, like, why is there not a defibrillator under the ring? And why doesn't the referee know how to use it on somebody if they need to?
Yeah, I mean, I always, and I guess this is just my ignorance, I always assumed that all referees had basic first aid and CPR training as part of, as part of the job. That's you did it. You had to have that certification before you could ever be a referee and get in the ring with someone, because you need to know immediately if someone's hurt, because shit happens.
Yeah.
But
man.
thinking back to that, of things I've seen in the past, I mean, there's been numerous times in WWE where, people have gotten hurt. The one that pops into my mind the most is there was a match with Jericho and Pac when Pac shattered his ankle, and the referee didn't even notice, and Jericho finished the match and yelled at the referee because he saw him fall wrong and pop his ankle.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man.
That's just, it was a little baffling to me, but
it's a shocker to me, and maybe there's a feeling that the referee is a performer like anybody else, and it's not a real sport, but
it's still shit happens.
The stakes are really real, and if you can also be somebody who is CPR certified, who knows how to use a defibrillator, right? Like, you fucking should be. Why not?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
it would just help.
As your job, you are part of the entertainment, and you're one of the entertainers in the ring, but you are that first person there to make sure both of those people are safe. Mm-hmm. And, we see it time after time after big moves, referees running over to the performer that landed, and they're doing that check immediately to make sure, are you good? Are you good to continue? If not, we're stopping it right now. So to me, it's always just been like, you should know immediately how to take care of someone if they fall wrong.
Yeah, I would absolutely love, not only would I absolutely love, I would be rather remiss if this didn't become an industry standard thing at this point. WWE probably won't do it, even though it would be basically fucking free for them to do it. But I'm very glad that AEW is picking up the slack here and making this happen, because I think it's important, and I think it will potentially really help in the future somebody to not go through what Silver King did, because as much as a heart attack can happen at any time or whatever, more definitely could have been done. And if you don't believe me, watch the video, because
it's definitely, it was a sad thing that happened, but there are good things that are coming out of this now. I mean, I know AEW is doing it as well as MLW, and there was a couple other promotions that are doing it as well, but those are the two that I remember off the top of my head. But it sucks something like this had to happen, but that the industry is becoming a little bit safer as a result is always a plus.
Let's move on to the big news this week. Perhaps the biggest news we've ever talked about on this show. the ripple effect from which I don't think will be felt for a long time and truly understood for a long time. But this is fucking huge news.
It's also very, very fucking ironic.
Well, you know.
We'll talk
You know,
about
man,
that
the son of the son of the plumber returns, right?
We'll talk about all the irony at the end.
I just want to read the press release. I didn't take anybody's editorializing on websites or whatever. I just want to read you the press release because I think that's probably where you can draw the best sort of conclusions and parallels for yourself. Warner Media partners with All Elite Wrestling for multi-platform launch of groundbreaking new wrestling league. TNT to air weekly matches later this year. Inaugural May 25th event available on Bleacher Report Live and via pay-per-view. AEW to introduce a new generation of diverse wrestlers and give fans a new wrestling experience for the first time in 20 years. That's a bit of a roundup, but still.
Close enough.
May 15th, 2019. Warner Media announced today that it is partnering with All Elite Wrestling, the new professional wrestling promotion featuring a world-class roster of diverse male and female wrestlers, giving fans a new wrestling experience for the first time in 20 years. Warner Media and AEW together will build this powerhouse sporting league from the ground up and will begin airing weekly matches later this year. With this league, AEW is introducing a new generation of wrestlers to fans, offering fun, gripping, and authentic athletic matches that will make wrestling more accessible to a broad audience. Warner Media will utilize its position as a next-generation global media company to build this league into a global pro wrestling franchise. Why are you laughing? God, tell me.
That whole sentence there is just the funny shit that they tell us during our town halls and shit, and it just cracks me up every fucking time. Such horseshit.
So, yeah, a lot of like, this is what will happen. It's like, well, this is what you're going to try to do.
Yeah, it's also like we get told quarterly. It's like, yeah, we're a software company. We're not a telephone company. We're a software company. It's like, really? Where's all the money come from, boys?
Really? Because everything runs on Android and iOS.
Bet you $1 all the money comes from mobility.
Founded by President and CEO Tony Khan, AEW is headlined by members of the Elite, which includes all-star wrestlers the Young Bucks, Cody and Brandy Rhodes, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Page. And a roster that includes the legendary Chris Jericho, Omega, Cody, and the Young Bucks also serve as executive vice presidents of the company, in addition to in-ring talent. Brandy Rhodes also serves as chief brand officer. Later this year, Warner Media will provide exclusive multi-platform access for fans to watch AEW events, airing live weekly matches on TNT in prime time, as well as streaming them through Warner Media's Bleacher Report Live and on pay-per-view. This is the interesting part here, because it's saying they're going to air them live. They're going to air them on TNT and on Bleacher Report Live, which means the weekly TV show will be on Bleacher Report Live. You will probably have to have a subscription like this, like you need for their soccer stuff at $9.99 a month or whatever. But
Yeah,
this will make it easy for fans who do not have cable to watch the weekly television show.
Yeah, that basically says it's telling us immediately that it's not going to be on Hulu, which it makes perfect sense. Hulu is 100% owned by Disney now. Why would Warner Productions be putting their product there?
Right.
The subscription model through BR Live is honestly, it's very, very reasonable considering the pricing points for the Champions League for soccer. It's probably one of the absolute cheapest ways. It's honestly one of the only ways you could watch all of the Champions League for soccer, but $9.99 a month to watch all of that is an insane price. I'm expecting the same price point for All Elite Wrestling, which is, if that's the price we pay as a monthly subscription price, and we get that and the pay-per-views, I'm fine with this. The part that's going to start stinging a little bit is if it's subscription price and pay-per-view on top of that, which is the current UFC model.
Right.
Absolute garbage. But that is what it is. We'll see how this all turns out. I think this is a great thing. Good things are coming. They can do a lot of good stuff. As it's part of Warner Media and TNT, it also means it'll be on any streaming service that Warner puts out in the next, few months. They've been hinting that they're going to be putting out at least 2 more in addition to DirecTV now.
Quantity over quality, I guess.
Yeah, it's about getting it in front of as many people as possible. That's what they're doing right now. But since AT&T owns Warner Media, TNT will be on every basic package that you can imagine. That means that if you don't want to do BR Live, fine. Get DirecTV Now or Sling TV or whatever that new cable package streaming service that they're creating is. There are a multitude of ways for people, especially in the U.S., to watch All Elite Wrestling. Overseas, ITV in the UK, and they're still announcing other platforms, but they're getting this thing out into as many people as they possibly can to compete with WWE and every other media empire right now.
The good news is you're going to have options.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have options.
We're going long this week, people. I don't know if you realize that or not. We're going long this week.
Got a lot to talk about.
A lot to talk about. This is a huge deal. Bleacher Report Live's high fan engagement will provide an invaluable opportunity to build AEW's audience. All Elite Wrestling is a talent-forward, fan-first league whose inclusive approach to creating high-quality athletic wrestling competitions is already making waves with fans and attracting top-tier wrestlers, said Michael Quigley, Executive Vice President, Commercial Operations, Content Strategy, and Monetization, TBS and TNT. He continues, it is high adrenaline, gripping entertainment, and we can't wait to bring it to fans everywhere with this game-changing new business. Yeah, it's a lot of buzzwords for a company that hasn't produced any content yet.
Yeah, but he's an EVP. That's all he does is buzzwords.
Sure. Quote, wrestling fans have wanted and needed something different, authentic, and better for far too long, said Tony Khan, president and CEO of AEW. Quote, AEW is answering the call. AEW is about more than wrestling. It's about a movement fueled by wrestling fans who have been underserved and perhaps even disappointed by what the industry has produced in recent years. AEW is rising to the occasion with Double or Nothing, and today taking it a step further by partnering with Warner Media, which is as committed as we are to making wrestling fans the one and only priority. With Warner Media, AEW is poised globally to redefine wrestling as we know it today, end quotes. Focused on producing fast-paced, high-impact competitions, AEW offers fans less scripted, soapy drama and more athleticism and real sports analytics, bringing a legitimacy to wrestling that has not previously had. Wrestlers will also be given more freedom to explore their characters and highlight their athletic abilities. Introducing statistics to wrestling for the first time ever, AEW will raise the stakes for its matches and deepen fan engagement by tracking each competitor's wins and losses as the wrestlers pursue championships, analyzing their moves, assessing damage to their opponents, and providing insights into their winning streaks.
That's a little. It's a little. The statistics thing can get very sketchy quickly.
People are worried about it. Tony Khan is a very smart man. I have faith that they won't
absolutely.
go too far with it.
Yeah,
also, people are, the haters who are never going to fucking watch it in the first place have taken this up as a pitchfork to be like, less soapy drama. That means there aren't going to be any characters. They say there's going to be fucking characters right here in the show.
What that's literally saying is we're going back to the old model of wrestling where we give a guy a microphone and he can go cut a promo how he knows to do it. We'll give him some bullet points of things he needs to hit, the highlights. Other than that, say what you want to say what you need to say, get your emotion into it, get your point across, make someone get behind you because they're so engaged by what you're doing.
They're also, the reason why they're saying more real sports production is they're just trying to say it's not going to be Lucha Underground.
Essentially, it's not going to be Lucha Underground, it's not going to be PWG, you're not going to be sitting in the middle of some fucking Legion Hall with one camera and no air conditioning kind of shit.
No, I don't mean so much in terms of production. I mean in terms of the tone of the universe that they set up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. I mean, well, both points are true. But yeah, they're definitely looking at this as this is reality. This is not a TV show with a storyline that happens to have wrestling in it. Right. We are a legitimate, quote-unquote, legitimate sports industry. We are doing a legitimate sports enterprise. Everything matters because this is sports. It's not entertainment.
Right, which you'd think a lot of these people online would be all about, but now the script's been flipped on them and they're mad about the thing they used to hate, right?
Which is ironic because everybody's been saying for years, they've been pissed at Vince. This is sports entertainment. It's not wrestling. I'm like, okay, it's still wrestling.
Yeah. No, and now we're going to have an actual wrestling show, and it's like they hate Vince, but really they just want better Vince, and it's like I don't understand where you people are coming from. I'm done trying to psychoanalyze these people because they're fucking beyond the pale at this point.
I told you many times in the past, you got to stop doing it because it will make you crazy.
But in closing, the media rights deal was negotiated by Khan and Bernie Cahill, whatever, co-founder of Activist Artist Management LLC, and an entity in which Khan is also an investor and partner. I just want to, for everybody still on the fence, talk about all of the options that you have before we move on. Double or Nothing, which is available.
We're talking about this because we've had numerous people in our Discord channel asking us, I got one of our friends was in Australia and is like, how do I watch, Double or Nothing? And like, it's going to be on Fight for Australia. Don't worry about it. So there's going to be numerous places.
Here's the breakdown. Double or Nothing is available in the United States of America on major cable providers through pay-per-view and online via the Bleacher Report app. Bleacher Report Live app for $50. I believe on some of the cable providers it's 60. I think it's also available on DirecTV Now. Is that what it's called?
No, I have DirecTV Now. That's the pure streaming service. They do not offer any pay-per-view at all.
Wow. Okay.
So you can watch it through actual DirecTV, the satellite portion, and it's $50. I checked that because my parents have that. For me personally, the only option I have is Bleacher Report Live. So if you have any type of streaming service, you're probably doing it on BR Live.
That's also what I got with. BR Live can probably be cast to your television if you have Chromecast or Chromecast built in, although I do not know. If you have a modern Android TV, you can find the app fairly easily in the App Store. Roku almost certainly has it because it's super easy to develop for.
There's an Apple TV app. You can Chromecast it. I saw that feature yesterday. So there's all the normal ways of watching stuff through smart TVs and everything. The only one I know that I'm questioning is if there's a PS4 app, but don't watch this on your PS4.
In the UK, it is available through ITV Box Office for around $15.
What's 15 in their currency?
15 in their currency, which is like 17 here. I have seen some people tried to hit it with a VPN. It doesn't work. As well as Fight. People have tried to hit Fight with a VPN, and it's not playing.
Yeah, they've caught on to that trick, guys.
Every other region will host the event via the Fight app for various prices depending on region and when it's airing. I mean, that's why there's a price difference between the UK is because it's starting at like 1 a.m. there. Also, Double or Nothing press conference and weigh-in, which was previously locked in the StarCast Day Pass at $40, will now stream for free on Fight the night before Double or Nothing.
The only one I'm not 100% sure of region-wise is Canada. I'm not sure if they have if it's going to be on a deal, if it's going to be on Fight or a different provider there. Cody mentioned it in his thank you video, but it went in one ear and out the other for me.
Yeah. A note, if you're going to be streaming the event, this may seem obvious for some of you, but maybe not all of you. Jack in to your modem directly. Do not try to do it over Wi-Fi because it's like it makes a big difference. I get in my home, for instance, and I understand I live in the middle of fucking nowhere, right?
No,
but
I don't have this issue.
But the jacking in and using Wi-Fi is a difference of like 3 times bandwidth for me.
Oh, it's gonna be like it's higher than that, but yeah, if you at all possible, you need to be plugged directly into Ethernet to try to do this.
Yeah. And so I was able to, on Amazon for I think $10, buy 100-foot Ethernet cables that run from my modem downstairs to my television upstairs. And I have several of them plugged into basically every device because they're the difference between stuttery and fucking buttery for me when it comes to video footage, because they're just it makes all the fucking difference in the world. It's going to give you at least 3 times the bandwidth. It's important. So if you're not doing that and you want to have the best picture quality uninterrupted and you're streaming it, you should really think about finding a way to connect directly to your modem. And I think maybe if you're not aware of that, I would hope that would be helpful for you in this event, because nobody wants the thing to suddenly stop playing or whatever in the middle of a match.
Yeah, nobody wants to see buffering as you're trying to watch this thing. It's never a good feeling when you're in the middle of a match as the ref is counting 1, 2,
and then so jack in, everybody. If you haven't jacked in, jack in.
Yeah, and you have that, and then it just cuts straight to the ref holding up the winner's hand, and you're like, but what happened?
I guess I'll catch it on the replay. It is important to note, Bleacher Report Live does offer unlimited replays of the event if you buy it on there.
Which is great for you and I, because we're going to be watching this like 3 times.
Yeah, Fight also does as well. So that's an important to note if you were on the fence. $50, a lot of money for some people, but sometimes, as a fan, you got to put your money where your mouth is and support it. For now, we can talk later down the line. If they're putting out monthly pay-per-views at this price, that's a bit antiquated at this point, although it is important to note that before the WWE Network, this is what every pay-per-view cost.
Right.
So,
another thing to keep in mind with that is it is not AEW who is setting this price.
Right, AEW is probably getting about maybe 30% of this or something.
They're getting the equivalent of what the UK is paying for this.
Right.
This is the pay-per-view providers setting this price. The reason it's this price on BR Live is because it was in the contract. They cannot fight the pay-per-view providers. They have to offer it at the same price.
Right.
My personal suggestion to anybody out there listening is, don't order this through pay-per-view provider. Order it through Bleacher Report Live, and then you have it for life. You can watch as much as you want to, versus you get it for 6 hours. So definitely look into that if it's an option for you. I mean, I know some people are just going to order it through their pay-per-view provider anyways, because that's just the easiest thing. But if you can take the extra 5 seconds and get it through Bleacher Report Live, you're definitely going to make your money back just of having that content available to you, seemingly forever.
Yes. And let's move on to the other big news this week, assuming that it's real, which we'll talk about.
So fucked, dude.
Pac versus Page off Double or Nothing due to creative differences. This comes to us from Big Dave Meltzer at f4wonline.com. It says the angle at today's WrestleGate show in Nottingham, England, involving Pac and Hangman Page was done largely to present the match that had been built up because the match won't be taking place at Double or Nothing on Saturday. The official word from AEW is that there were creative differences regarding the match, and Pac won't be on Saturday's show. With Pac's regular matches in the UK, it's known that because he takes his status as world champion with Dragon Gate seriously, he has not agreed to any losses since winning the Open the Dream Gate title. And to protect that, has done 30-minute draws with Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay. On the flip side, AEW wants to present a sports-like atmosphere and had their own direction for what they wanted.
So the best thing I've read about this through Reddit, comments and everything is just like, oh yeah, good for Pac. He wants to protect the title from the 14th best Japanese promotion. Good for fucking him.
Seems like a missed opportunity for everyone.
Yeah.
But let me get through it, and then we'll fucking talk about it. Pac versus Page will be released this week on the internet by AEW with the idea that everyone can see the match, even if it had a DQ finish for free. So fans are getting the hyped up match. Page agreed to fly to England and do the match to make up for the hyped match not happening on the pay-per-view. Page will be wrestling against a new opponent, although the name probably won't be announced before the pay-per-view show. The DQ finish kept things open, ended enough that Pac may be back with the promotion at some point to face Page, although there was no definite time frame. There will be at least one more announcement made midweek regarding Saturday's show. More info from Big Dave about the Pac issue from WOR this morning.
Hopefully the match announcement happens before we release the scorecards.
Hopefully. Probably not, though.
Probably not, but I'm hoping we get lucky by that, and maybe Pro Wrestling Scorecards will keep this in mind and maybe hold off the scorecard for a couple maybe hours, but
sure.
I understand the reasoning if they have to get it out there as quick as possible.
So Pac and Hangman had this match. It comes to a DQ finish when Pac, I think, Pillmanized one of Hangman's legs or something like that.
No, he kicked the ref in the testicles, and they just considered it a DQ after that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then he hit the legs with the chair.
Yeah.
And then Pac said something to the effect of, I've already worn you out. I don't need to wrestle you on Saturday. Which is why everyone's kind of going, this is maybe probably a work.
Could be, man. It could very well be a work. What we have seen so far, doesn't feel like one.
Yeah. If it isn't a work, wow, Pac.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense why you got kicked out of WWE.
Yeah, part of the business is losing sometimes.
Yeah.
I know it
might be hard for you.
You can't just win. You can't just refuse to wrestle if you don't win. That's very silly, especially considering the win could have been. It didn't have to be a fully clean win. It could have been a little dirty, even if they're going for this sports-like presentation or whatever. But when you work for a company,
this is Cody's dad had a finish named after him.
The
Dusty finish.
Sure.
They could have easily done that, and no one would have said a fucking word.
And when you, I'm trying to think of the way to word this. When you work for a promotion, you're not in charge of who wins and loses as a talent. You're just not, because you're not the writer,
right?
Like they are. But if Dragon Gate wants Pac to never lose a match as their champion, they can pay him to not work anywhere else.
Right.
That's how you do that.
Yeah, and it should have never come to the point of him signing the match and signing the contract to do this match if Dragon Gate had already said, you're not losing.
Yeah.
And we talked about it a little bit in Discord, and I really feel like this has been an ongoing issue between AEW, Pac, and Dragon Gate, probably since this match was signed, of them going back and forth, and it's fun. It's at the point where it's like, okay, we have to make a decision right now. Are we going to let someone else control our future, or are we just going to say fuck it? And they said fuck it, because they're not going to let someone else control them and push them around. And it sucks, it's shitty, but it sets a precedent. It shows that they are not going to let people push them around and let other people run the book and their promotion for them. They're doing what they want to do and how they want to do it. So it sucks for us, but it is what it is. It's going to lead to better things in the future.
Here are some other notes from Dave from a Reddit summary on his WR podcast. It was indeed a Dragon Gate title issue, or at least that was his reasoning. They did a 15-minute match in England. In post-match, Angle Pac said that he wouldn't be coming to AEW. This was done to write him off for the next little while. AEW didn't just want to cancel the match outright, so they did the match in England. That will be released this week. Dave speculates that he won't be back until he drops that title. AEW didn't want to do a DQ finish because they wanted wins/losses on their pay-per-views, which good for them.
Well, I think what that's supposed to say is they want the wins and losses to matter.
Right. I saw him do... somebody tweeted at him, this is just like WCW. He's like, no, WCW would have just had the guy win.
Yeah, exactly. They would have just done it. And
then, of course, everyone was like, oh, Dave Meltzer suck at AEW's cock. It's like, no, he's right. Like, WCW would have just let the guy who was being petulant win. Yeah. That's just...
Look at the reasons, the finger poke of doom.
Right. WCW wouldn't have been like, no, fuck you. You're going to do it our way or you're not going to work for us. WWE would have done the same shit too, by the way, and have on multiple occasions. So it actually shows great confidence and vision and character for them to do this.
It's showing that even if they had wanted, saying Pac was going to win, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Maybe they did want him to win, but down the line, it would be presenting an issue of Pac still having the belt, because they go into it a little bit later in the notes here, but it's like, say Pac wins against Page, but at All Into or at Fyter Fest, they want to put him up against Omega or Cody for the AEW championship.
Right.
Well, now Pac can't lose to one of those two people because he's refusing, and Dragon Gate is refusing, so that's just fucked their whole storyline.
Yeah.
So it may be looking at it's a short-term thing, but it's affecting long-term issues and long-term planning. So that's why they did. They said, fuck it, go work somewhere else if you're going to be a little bitch.
Yeah. Big Dave continued, they didn't want to do a time limit draw for two reasons. The time issues, as well as previous draw finishes involving Pac in the UK have been booed, notably Ospreay versus Pac. They want this show to be near perfect and don't want the fans to boo. Issue wasn't just this show. Pac refusing to lose would fuck up their long-term plan, and they had to change things. Hence, why he thinks they won't use them. Now, in parentheses here, it says, now this next part was explained poorly, so I'm going to try to do my best. Nice editorial from the president. They want win/losses to matter, even if they were going to put Pac over here. If the wins/losses matter logically, he'd be in a title match or some type of big match against a guy like Omega or equivalent at All In 2. Let's say they want Pac to lose here, but then they can't because he refuses to lose while champ. Dave speculates that this was indeed the plan due to the 6-man tag being booked at the Daytona show. In parentheses, it says, to me, it does sound like Pac was going to go over here and then in a program versus Omega and lose to Omega if anyone else listened, feel free to correct me on this. So it wasn't even that he was going to necessarily lose this match. It's just that they knew he wasn't going to be able to lose against Omega, and that was the whole fucking reason they brought him in, basically.
Essentially, yeah. And I mean, I'd forgotten about the match in Daytona, and that makes perfect sense. They put him in the 6-man with the Lucha Bros against the Elite. So either they're setting him up against the Young Bucks, not clearly not happening.
Right.
They're setting him up against Omega for either a big match or a title match. So if he continually can't / won't lose, then there's no point in putting him in that program.
Yeah, I agree. AEW says they have a better match planned. Dave says if they deliver, everyone will forget this happened. Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, of course.
If they don't, they'll get criticized. Dave says there's an argument that fans want this match that was advertised versus AEW's decision of doing what they think is best in the long term. Okay, this is all good information to have, sort of. Of course, it's all he said, she said with Dave Meltzer, but somebody's saying something, So we'll see how they pull this off at the end of the week. The other important thing to note this week, Fyter Fest tickets went on sale. They're somewhat reasonably priced, though not cheap and not free, and they don't also seem to be that tied to having a pass to CEO. They are separate tickets that you must buy.
Which is great news, because typically things with conventions and like CEO is, even if you want to go to the show, you have to buy a CEO badge in addition to the ticket. So that's always good news. I imagine what they typically do with things like this is like, say it's a concert. The concert tickets are $10 because you spent the majority of the money on the badge. And I believe if that was going to be the issue with the Fyter Fest, they probably would have done the same thing. But seeing that they understand that the majority of the people going to Fyter Fest are probably not video game fans, let's just put them on sale for everybody.
Yeah, and the good news from it, the tickets aren't outrageous. They're about what you'd expect for a show like this.
They're about the same price as the Fight for the Fallen tickets.
Yeah, before Ticketmaster bought their own tickets and charged $800 for them. The other exciting news is that there are areas sanctioned off for cameras on the seating chart. So we will likely see that in some capacity broadcasted. The next thing that we have to move on to is our predictions for the card ahead of the scorecard reveal, just so we can talk through the show on right here on Seeing the Elite. And man, I am so excited. My everything's locked in. I've got my pre-order for the event in. The buy-in is on Bleacher Report Live, so I can just roll right through it, man. Having some friends from the Discord and mostly IRL friends over to watch the show on Saturday night, and I could not be more excited about it, man. It's going to be great.
Yeah, Chris and I are going to watch it. She told me on Friday she plans to spend most of the event shit-talking in Discord because she doesn't know anything. So look forward to that, everyone.
Jonathan, I can cut this if you're against it, but we could potentially, if people want it, get at us in the Discord. We could be in the voice channel on Discord if people want us to be.
Let's see what people think about it. I know Carissa and I, we've talked about it because we're going to do a breakdown of the show. You know, the co-host and the uninitiated.
Well, you better be ready to do it because we're doing the show like the next day.
Oh yeah, like her and I episode we'll probably record that on Monday, and I'll edit that together on Monday, and we'll put that up special. That'll be separate thing.
Okay.
Me and you will be ready to go because I'll be taking notes and probably watching it twice. But yeah. So we're gonna do that. But yeah, if people want to jump into the voice channel, we can definitely set that up.
Yeah, I think the voice channel is easier than the text channel because, like, I'm going to have people over or whatever.
Yeah,
and like
you end
the
up
text
just-
channel is just, I don't want to be texting the whole time. The voice channel, I can still be watching the show. We can all talk to each other if people need that. I know there are a lot of people who are going to be watching who are going to be in countries where they're not necessarily going to have people come over and watch this thing from 1 to 4 a.m. So if you want to hang with some friends and talk about the thing while you're talking, that might be an option. If Jonathan and I don't like wuss out and decide not to do it.
Yeah, TBD. Yeah, so I know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we're gonna do. I know we'll figure something out. So look forward to next week, everybody, because you're either getting 2 episodes next week or the following week.
Yeah, if we decide to be in the voice channel, we'll talk more about it in Discord. But let's move on. Let's make predictions for this card, at least as much as the card as we know, because now everything's thrown out of whack. Or maybe not. Maybe it's still Hangman and Pac. Who fucking knows, dude? But this is the card as we know it, starting with the pre-show matches. That's Sammy Guevara versus Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian, a performer I am not familiar with.
Me neither at all. So before we go any further, if we don't count the Hangman match, because we clearly can't.
Yeah.
We have 9 matches, so there's no need for a tiebreaker.
Okay.
So that's, if we want to count the Hangman match, we could use that as a tiebreaker, but I don't really feel we need one because we do have an odd number.
Okay. Let's for our guesses right here on the show before we see the scorecard, because the scorecard might do something interesting.
Yeah, that way we can do all kinds of crazy things, and point values will be able to have definitive winners. But typically, Bryce and I have our own competition that has spun every Ultima Lucha that we did a show on,
and the cup.
We did one for the cup as well. So we have our own little pissing contest that we do. So,
but my scorecard will probably be pretty similar to.
The only difference on the scorecard is we have to be a little bit more minute in the details of things.
Yeah. Sammy Guevara versus Kip Sabian. Sammy Guevara, I know quite a bit about. Lucha Underground alum. Pretty explosive in-ring style. Looks like a little boy. All this stuff. Apparently,
stop saying that, man. You sound like a pedophile.
He
true,
does though.
But yeah.
He looks like a 14-year-old. Kip Sabian is a combustible Edison for me because I'm not familiar with his work at all. So,
who are you going with?
Why don't you go first, John?
Okay, I picked Sammy because known quantity. I know how he works. As I say this out loud, I kind of feel like he's going to lose because of how they've been doing on being the elite. Right. But I'm kind of hoping maybe, that everybody in the world thinking he's a piece of shit will mean he's going to...
Oh, so you mean Guevara. You said Sabian. You mean Guevara.
Yeah, I mean Sammy. I'm going with Sammy.
Okay. I am probably also going to go with Sammy G. Which I feel bad for Kip Sabian, but I just I'm not familiar with his
if
work.
we knew more about him, it'd be a lot easier to make a decision, but right now it's like, go with what you know.
I could have done the research, but I do so much research for this show.
We have other shit to do.
I'm ready to be surprised. I would rather be surprised by him live in the moment, I think, than go and look up a bunch of matches from Kip Sabian. The Casino Battle Royale, the entrants that we know about right now, that haven't been shuffled out for other matches. Sonny Kiss, Brendan Cutler, Ace Romero, Brian Pillman Jr., Glacier, Sunny Days, MJF, Joey Janela, Dustin Thomas, Billy Gunn, Jimmy Havoc, Michael Nakazawa, Jungle Boy, and more to be announced. 13 of 21 competitors have been announced.
So we could do a tiebreaker here by choosing a random person who we think is going to be one of the other 8. But we could just pick the winner of who we have listed. Or there's also the tiebreaker we could do of picking who's going to be number 21.
We don't need a tiebreaker. We have 9.
Yeah, well, we've had odd number matches before, and we picked the same people.
Yeah. Okay, so which one do you want to do?
Let's go with picking number 21.
Okay. I think it's Mox.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that's the hit is Mox.
Fuck it, I'm going
who
with
el-
Punk. We're probably both wrong, but it's fine.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that. I mean, that man, they do that on that pre-show that everybody can watch on
People
YouTube.
would
Here's
lose
Punk,
their
dude.
fucking minds.
That's how you do it, man.
Yeah.
It'd be a difficult show to live up to after that, but
fine,
hey,
man. It'd be
sometimes,
fine.
like I said in Discord, sometimes you shoot your biggest shot when everybody's watching.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
If they wanted to guarantee people buying last minute, you throw
Yeah.
Mox or Punk on there.
Yeah, man.
Who's your winner?
Man, there's a lot of good choices here, but you have to think the winner of this is going on to win the title.
Yeah.
Or not win the title, but have a title shot. So it's someone who has to be able to feud on a championship title level,
right,
which means they
just
either need
knocks out half the people that are listed here.
right, they either need to have a lot of star power or be a really talented young person like MJF, for instance, right?
Like of the people that we have listed, MJF, Joey Janela, Billy Gunn, kind of, and
But I wouldn't see it.
he's got veteran status is why.
Sure,
That's why I say
sure.
that. Other than that I don't know who the fuck Jimmy Havoc is, but yeah, those are the three people I could see.
Jimmy Havoc's
chances.
Jimmy Havoc's like a high school goth that like became 35.
So
He's
Darby Allin.
pretty much, except like older and like it's a very similar gimmick to Darby Allin, but he's famous for sort of death matches in England. He's
fair.
got like a Cockney accent.
Gotcha. I
It's-
mean, like
he's good though.
I would absolutely love Dustin Thomas to win, but that's difficult.
Yeah, he seems like he's probably in there for a few comedy spots and then he's out.
Yeah, and just getting his name out there. Brandon Cutler he's gonna get fucked up quickly.
Ace Romero is from Maine, from a nearby town, Saco, Maine, and he is the big man in this match. He's huge.
Yeah. Sunny Days
and-
is kind of the same way. He's a big guy. I don't feel like he's got enough star power to pull this off. He does have the lasting power because he's easily going to be in AEW for the length of it, considering he's the cinematographer for
I think
Road to Double or Nothing.
both. I think Ace and Sunny Days will go far, but I don't think they're gonna win.
Yeah, and then you kind of have to ignore Pillman and Glacier, even though I fucking want Glacier to win.
Here's the deal: of the people we know, I think MJF has the biggest shot here.
That's my pick.
But I don't necessarily think it's somebody that we know that's gonna win.
Yeah, it probably isn't, because that's how you do every fucking battle royale. You want it to be as much of a mystery as possible.
That and MJF and Joey Janela have enough heat with each other right now that they could just
They're probably
spin that right into them doing their own thing without this title stuff going on, right?
Absolutely.
And MJF does seem like, as good as he fucking is, man, especially for 3 years in the wrestling business.
Wow, I did not even realize that. That's
Yeah,
fucking
he's been doing
amazing.
this shit for 3 years and he's that good. He doesn't quite have the star power, I think, to handle a very early AEW title match.
He's still green. He's, like you said, 3 years. That's really, he doesn't have the star power, and he's green. He's still learning everything, but he's got the fucking personality to do it.
Yeah, hell of a promo for 3 years, man. I think it's probably going to be whoever comes in at 21.
Naturally.
That wins. I just think that's probably how it's going to go down. And
If that's the case, then I'm really hoping it's not Punk or Mox, because while that is great, don't have the super famous guy going straight into a title match.
fuck it, do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Fair enough.
If you're trying to pull views, right? If the Tumblr fan fiction community is any indication, John Moxley has quite a few fans all over the world who are willing to pay to watch the shows. So,
So you're going with Mox again?
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
gonna go with Mox.
All right, next one up. SCU versus
SCU versus what are they? The Lonely Hearts or something?
Strong Heart. That's what it is.
Thunder Hearts, Strong Hearts. That's Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky versus Shima, T-Hawk, and Lindemann. I'm gonna go with the Strong Hearts. I think SCU loses nothing by losing to the Strong Hearts on this, and I think Shima has everything to gain by going over big on an American pay-per-view for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would be better for SCU to do a job here and put those guys over really heavy to build their star power. I still picked SCU. I think why not? They're fucking hilarious. They're great workers, and they know the business inside and out. Of the things I've seen with them the past few months, they're definitely in that twilight portion of their career.
Sure.
And especially with the roles that
Daniels especially,
especially Daniels.
Scorpio Sky and Kazarian could do a little bit more. Scorpio Sky especially, I think, is the youngest of the three.
Yeah, but Daniels is definitely moving into the management portion, so this may be one of their final send-off matches. And what better way than to put over three young guys who don't have a name in America?
Right. Yeah, man. I agree. So you're SCU and I am Strong Hearts. Britt Baker versus Nyla Rose versus Kylie Ray. Jonathan, give us yours first.
I'm going with Britt. I remember her from last at All In, so that's the only one that I know of these three. I know she's gonna have a hard time with Nyla Rose because that's a scary chick. Kylie is kind of the X factor because I don't know anything about her and she seems really new to the business, but with Brandy supporting her, that can be a telling factor, but I think it's going to be Britt.
I agree with everything you're saying, except that I don't agree with the last part, and I'm all in with my girl Nyla Rose, bro. She is going to break up bitches and take riches, and it's going to be great. Now, I know usually in this match, if you have an outsized opponent, such as a Brock Lesnar in a triple threat match, right, it's usually because they're not going to win. But, oh, man, I hope Nyla Rose, man, because she gives a hell of a promo, and she's fucking awesome, bro.
Yeah, I feel you, and I'm with you right there. I really feel like Kylie is in this match to take a pin because they want to make Britt and Nyla look really strong for their women's division. So, and
I don't think it really hurts Kylie. Kylie's
all.
Character is not that she's a great fighter.
So, yeah, it's going to be a good match either way, no matter the outcome.
But I'm Nyla Rose, man. Nyla Rose all the way.
It's a scary chick, man.
Oh, man, I can't wait until we're wrong about all of these guesses and everybody's credibility for us goes through the fucking
floor. They're
floor,
just looking at us like, man, those guys are fucking pieces of shit. They don't know anything about wrestling.
They don't know a fucking thing about wrestling. How have they run wrestling podcasts for almost half a decade? They don't know anything about wrestling.
Go with our gut.
Angelico and Jack Evans versus the Best Friends.
I picked Angelico and Jack.
I think it's also Angelico and Jack. Like, as much as I love the Best Friends, once again, their gimmick is not that they're great at fighting. I think
it's gonna be a barn burner, though, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome, man. I think we're gonna leave feeling like kind of everyone was the winner on this one if they're given enough time to do something
except
great.
Jack, who's probably gonna leave in a stretcher.
Hasn't happened yet, man.
Only because he missed a season and a half of Lucha Underground with a broken jaw.
He didn't miss it. He was there.
Yeah,
it was just wired shut.
He couldn't wrestle.
Yeah, I think that's where that's going. I think that match is going to be great for new fans who aren't aware of these two tag teams. I think are going to be just so entertained by the Best Friends and then just see some crazy shit from Angelico and Jack Evans.
Yeah, and man,
I hope they bust out the nunchucks, man.
The best part of this, though, is like Jack and Angelico have good chemistry with every other tag team that has been announced. Yeah. Because they've been in the industry for so long, so they're going to have good matches just about every time they're on a card.
Jonathan, I'm going to have you read the names in this next match because I read them earlier and I don't think I got any of them right.
You did pretty good. Aya Kong, Yuka Sakazaki, and Emi Sakura versus Hikaru Shida, Riho Abe, and Ryu Mizunami.
Okay. I wouldn't care to speculate who's going to win this match, honestly.
Yeah, I just picked the first team. I don't know anything about these girls. I know it's going to be good wrestling and it's going to be really technical stuff, but I don't know any. I've never seen any of them perform before.
I'll pick second team only because they made like a huge deal about Shida signing, and so that's what I'm going to go with. But I don't really have any insight into this match whatsoever. It's going to be a big, entertaining surprise for me.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those matches where we're depending heavily on the commentary to know what's going on and who is where.
Yeah.
Now it's time
the
for
Young
the fun
Bucks. Right. These are all the. These are like the 4 main event matches that they're having, or 3.5, I guess.
Yeah, 3.5 now.
The Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros for the AAA Tag Team Championships. Man, I think this match is gonna set the fucking world on fire for people who are used to WWE tag matches or whatever, where everyone's like, the Revival and this other team, they had a great tag team match on NXT this week. Buckle the fuck up, dog, because...
The only thing I can say about this match to people who haven't seen either of these teams wrestle against each other before, don't blink.
I think they're going to have a lot of time, and I think, oh man, these four guys are the best tag team wrestlers in the world. Never mind the fact that like Phoenix and Pentagon are both each like among the best singles wrestlers in the world as well.
Easily, dude. They're easily in the top 5.
And the Young Bucks would probably be in that conversation as well if they ever didn't wrestle as a tag team, but they don't.
Yeah, I mean, you have two. The best part about this tag team match is you have 2 sets of brothers working against each other, so they know each other's movesets inside and out because they have built-in chemistry automatically. So you're never going to have that issue like you have in WWE where it seems like the 2 guys have never worked together before. You're going to have 4 dudes just running at fucking full speed the entire match.
I don't want to get all weird and spiritual, but siblings have a connection that's very difficult to describe. You develop your own way of communicating with your sibling that is on a level that you really don't have with anybody else. Even if, although I wouldn't assume if you don't grow up together, but it's my brother and I can start a conversation in the morning if we're around each other, right? Go off to work, right? Put the conversation on hold, come back from work, and then like start in the middle of that conversation again, and we both know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like you just have that sort of way of communicating with people when they're your siblings, you know, and to think that translates to the wrestling ring, which it must, because you know the Lucha Bros as a tag team haven't been going for a super long time either. Like it's kind of a recent thing in both their careers. So
yeah, they had a couple tag team matches in Lucha Underground, but they were very spread out. And they did more singles matches against each other, which were again amazing because there was no point where they were having to stop for a rest hold to plan out the next 5 spots. They just ran with it because they knew what to do. And that's going to be a lot of the stuff that you're going to see in this match. There's not going to be a lot of rest holds or planning out spots because they're just, like I said, they're going to run at full speed the whole time.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome, man. And I cannot wait for this match, especially with all the money that they have for production. I'm sure that the entrances are going to be fucking amazing. And the lights. I just
in the chat sitting there like, man, I fucking want Pentagon's mask.
I don't need more.
Yeah, you said that last
I got a trip
time.
to save for. Do we want to do Hangman's match?
Oh, you didn't pick one.
Didn't pick what?
Pick a team, buddy.
Oh, the Lucha Bros.
Okay.
I'm never gonna vote against the Lucha Bros. They're the best.
That's
They're
what
the
I
best
thought. But,
ever.
we gotta have it. We
Yeah.
gotta have it written down and on.
Yeah,
tape.
that and they're having a rematch at AAA this summer or something like that, right? So it only makes sense that they take the belts back.
Yeah, it's a couple of weeks. It's in between events for AEW, but yeah, it's a rematch where, again, the belts will change hands.
Right. Or maybe the Young Bucks retain here and the Lucha Bros take it back in AAA.
Yeah, it's entirely possible for that to happen. We never really know this, especially with fucking AAA. You never know.
Right. They could just be like, you can just have our tag.
Yeah.
AEW, if you just say AAA every time you refer to them, you can just have them. They're not really doing anything here.
And that it would help help AAA out in the long run if they had the AAA tag team titles on U.S. television. You never know, man. No, I don't. There's no reason to talk about Paige's match. We don't know what's going to happen with it. We don't know if this is all a fucking work or not, and Pac's going to show up, or if Paige is going to fight Mox, or my idea in Discord this week was put whoever wins the battle royale against Paige. Fuck it.
Or pull one of the surprise guys you have for the battle royale from it.
And someone else in Discord mentions fuck it, put Paige in the battle royale.
Yeah, pull the whole thing. So somebody in Discord, I'd like to know who it was in Discord who said it, but my phone's off. Had said that
to call us again.
Not this week. That's next week. I got to call him in the middle of the show. Had said that they think Joey Ryan is going to be the choice. And I think that's super smart because he's a free agent. They could sign him for the match. And him and Hangman already have beef that wasn't really resolved from All In last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Necessarily.
That's
so
one of the biggest things that happened in All In that was just never talked about again.
Yeah. So I think that's the obvious choice booking wise, but the problem is because they pulled it so close to the event, is that going to be enough that, as Meltzer said, if they pull it off, no one will be talking about this, right?
Right.
So we'll have to see where they go with that. They might have
It could very well be
fucking awesome ace. Maybe they got fucking Okada to come over or some shit. I don't know, but.
Oh man!
I mean, that would be kind of weird to use on Hangman Page, but that would be the thing where people would be like, "All right, fuck Pac." I don't care about
Fuck
Pac.
him. I'm pretty sure they've wrestled before in New Japan.
Yeah,
For G1 or some shit. So it's
probably for G1.
It's not unheard of, but man, that'd be good, dude. That'd be real fucking good, and that would 100% make everyone forget about the whole Pac thing.
Cody versus Dustin Rhodes. I think there's no way that Dustin Rhodes wins this match.
I agree with that. It's going to be a really good match. It's going to be very much an old school technical match.
But I think the booking's fairly transparent.
Yeah,
here.
it's obscenely transparent. We've talked about it.
I'd be disappointed if he did win. I'd be like, that's kind of a weird story idea to have the old guy win.
It's very apparent Dustin's not going to win this match, and we've talked about it that he may have one or two matches in AEW before he moves backstage. I'm not really sure who else he would want to wrestle. I mean, I'm sure he has his choice, and I think he could do a good match with Kenny. He's done good matches with Jericho. He could do a good match with Hangman. Just whoever he wants to put over as his final match, they'll let it happen. And it just
but I think Cody is the person he'd want to put over, right?
And I don't feel like they brought him in for one match though.
Sure.
So, but either way.
Well, I mean, I think he'll probably have a backstage position.
Oh, I absolutely agree. He'll either be a manager or a
road agent or something.
And yeah, you're right. This could be him putting Cody over for that final match, and I'd be fine with that. That'd be cool. I'm down with it either way. I think this is going to be really good and really technical. It's going to this match is talking to the people that watched wrestling in the 80s and the 90s who won an old school match. That's what Cody's match in All In was. So that's
what he's good at. That's what Cody's good at.
He really is. He's really good at the 80s, 90s style. So let's do it. Let's have that match. Maybe have some less obvious blading this time. Just a little bit.
A little bit less.
A little bit less. But yeah, it's going to be a good one, man. I think Cody's going to go over, and he's going to go over really strong.
I think it'll be a really emotional match, man.
Yeah.
Because of all the, AEW being on Turner, right? With the parallels to WCW, right?
Yeah.
The parallels to his dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here they are, the first match of this new product where Cody is taking control of his own destiny in the way that his father did, in the way that I'm sure his father would be unbelievably proud of.
Absolutely.
And the first match that Cody has is between him and Dustin.
No one has the drama that these two guys have.
Yeah. I mean, in any of these matches, like there are matches with like heat or whatever, but like this is legitimately going to be an emotional match, and I think that's wonderful. Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho, the final match on the card, has been actually said to be the main event in the press release earlier. So,
okay, I picked Jericho. I think he's going over heavy heel. That seems to be what they've been working Jericho as. So,
well, and they've added so much to it, right? Like if Chris Jericho wins, then AEW gives a thank you to Chris Jericho. Everyone needs a personal thank you, right? I'm sure they already have that video prepped. I'm sure it's fucking hilarious. And then from there, he can go on to fight Cody.
Right, because that is the next feud that they are 100% building and have been building already.
So I think it'll probably be a dirty win from Jericho.
Naturally, yeah.
After a great match, because he looks to be in wildly good shape.
It's that he's in very, very good shape, but man, he is at his best as a heel and a shit heel, and man, that's what they're building him up to be. So yeah, let's make it a fucking shit win, because that's exactly what a shit heel would do.
Yeah, I think it's Chris Jericho. Now, again, Jonathan and I reserve the right to be wrong about all of these matches. But I think Jericho's Kenny doesn't really have a next up. He did. It was Pac. Right? But that's apparently not happening. So he doesn't have a next up. Jericho has an obvious next up. And there's just so much to get out of Cody, especially because if Jericho wins this and Cody has to put out this fucking video where he's like, thank you, Chris Jericho, right? That only puts more heat on the feud for them coming up. And that'd be awesome.
Not that it
that'd
really needs any more heat, but yeah, dude, that's what they're, and it's what they're building to. Like you said, they were building Kenny up to go up against Pac in the near future, and since that's not looking like it's going to work out, it could be that Kenny wants some time off now. He's had a very, very strict running wild schedule while he was in New Japan, and, everybody needs a little chance to rest. So
no, I think they'll definitely use him. I think they'll move him into something else.
I'm sure as well, but, they may take, the Fyter Fest stuff is now going to switch gears heavily. So.
Sure. At least a little bit. Do you think they're going to put the title on it?
Nope. I think they will reveal the title and during the intro for the Battle Royale, because they haven't yet. If they don't do it in a video this week, but no, I don't think there will be no title matches this one. I see the first title match.
You think they'll save the title match for something else, either All In 2 or Fight for the Fallen?
Or possibly Fyter Fest. I feel like Fyter Fest was going to be designed to set up either a trios or a tag team belt. Right. Since that's not happening now. I feel like Fight for the Fallen would be a good spot to bring in some titles, or All Into, or maybe the first TV taping. They may want to save it till then. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, because they already have a deal. So this is the inaugural event. You might as well do it at your third or fourth event. Give some people the time to get familiar, but then bring it in and start really going heavy with it.
If I had to guess, yeah, I would either say Fight for the Fallen or All In 2.
If they just want to do one title at either of those two, sure, and then work the rest of them into it, that's fine. But at some point, quickly, you have to introduce your titles so that you have your storylines.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't have a wrestling promotion because people are chasing nothing.
Sure. Especially a very sports-oriented wrestling promotion.
Right. Yeah, they can't pull the stuff that Lucha Underground did in their first season where the main event was for $10,000.
For money. I don't know, but we could just, with it being, like they said, sports oriented, all about chasing the title, all about wins and losses, they could put it on one of these matches. And I think if they put it on one of these matches, it's Kenny Omega and Jericho.
Yeah, because I feel like Cody's not going to put the title on himself, not immediately.
Sure, and he definitely, that makes it even more transparent that he's going to win.
Yeah.
If it's him or Dustin, right?
So
the first AEW champion is going to be Dustin Rhodes.
No,
you know what I mean?
Fucking way. Now, the first champion being Chris Jericho, and now Cody has to chase after him to get the title back away from the shitbag that they had to apologize to.
Yeah.
That's a fucking great story.
That's great. It does leave the person who won the Battle Royale a little bit out in the cold, but not really. They can just have a title match at some point.
Your first episode of TV is the Battle Royale winner versus the champion. It's a built-in thing.
That's a ways from now. They could just do it at Fyter Fest, right?
Well, we don't really know.
That would be the Fyter Fest match would be Chris Jericho versus whoever won the Battle Royale.
Yeah, but at the same time, man, we don't know how far that TV taping is.
Sure. I'm almost 100% sure this is a live thing, but they did say later in the year and not fall, right? So
I think if as a backup plan, it'd be great to do that for Fyter Fest because your main event for Fyter Fest is now gone.
Right, and you can do the title match for Fyter Fest while you're still building between Cody and Jericho, right?
Absolutely.
So you can even have Cody come in at the end and fuck up Jericho or whatever you want to do to further that feud, right? But
yeah, either Fyter Fest or Fight for the Fallen. That's when or All In 2. That's when the buy-in needs to be cashed in. Right,
I would think. Anyway, jeez, what a massive week for AEW. We're so excited for Saturday. It's going to be so awesome. YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, podcast services everywhere. Thank you so much for riding with us every week on Seeing the Elite and AEW podcast. Subscribe, be with us here every single Monday morning. Leave us a review just because it warms our heart, and give us that 5 stars because it means a lot to us. Every time Jonathan and I get one of those, we send each other a little text message. We're like, hey, look at this on A. People like us.
It's so shocking.
And it's nice. So if you have the time, that would be great for us. Helps more people see the podcast too. I assume. I don't really know how the algorithm works. Facebook.com/Seeing the Elite if you want to stay up to date. And once again, just before we go, you want to get into this Discord if you want to watch the show along with all of us and talk about the show and be involved in our scorecard league. Get that championship gold. Get that limited edition poster. We're going to know about it, and we're going to reveal the winners on next week's show as we break down Double or Nothing from Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Grand Garden Arena at the MGM Grand, and everything around that, the press conference, the buy-in, the main show, all that shit, and then also our scorecard league. We're going to announce the top 3.
So there was something else I totally forgot to talk about this. Something that with the weigh-in and the press conference that has started really kind of clicking in my mind, especially seeing stuff on Instagram.
Yeah.
Weight classes are going to matter in AEW because Cody...
You believe so?
Cody's been posting a lot on Instagram and Twitter about how he is actually cutting weight and getting down to. He wants to hit 203. His goal for Double or Nothing was 205. So he's looking at 203 now because his diet's going better than expected. We had those videos of Pac, looking shredded. We've seen all Hangman's full gear challenge seemingly working that way too. So.
Right, and they've made a big deal about having a staff nutritionist.
Yeah, so
right?
I feel like that's going to be something that might be playing into everything going forward. So it's like
weight classes are great. In wrestling, it unfortunately excludes you from having the sort of David versus Goliath matches in most cases, although you can always have something that's unsanctioned or not for a title,
sure.
right?
And New Japan does it, and New
Japan does it to great effect. People go, weight classes, because they think it's going to be like 205 Live or something like that. It's not. It can be handled with grace if your writing team isn't fucking stupid.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And when you look at the roster that they put together, you have guys on both sides of that.
It definitely makes it more of a sports presentation. It gives you the opportunity to do weigh-ins to hype your event. It makes the weigh-in not fucking pointless like it would be if you didn't have weight classes. And then additionally, it allows you to have multiple titles that actually mean something, as opposed to, say, an intercontinental title that's like, it's like the regular title that you could totally go for, but you're kind of admitting you're not good enough to chase that title. You know what I mean?
Your heavyweight title and your junior heavyweight title.
Right. And the reason why say Phoenix can't go for the heavyweight title is because he doesn't want to work at that weight, right? And so he goes for the junior heavyweight title, and it means just as much. It's just he's smaller, so that's the title he fights for.
Which is also hilarious that Pentagon is billed at 207.
Pentagon would need to cut like 4 pounds or whatever, right? Like
there ain't no fucking way. That guy is 207. There is no way.
Well, plus it's pro wrestling, right? So all the build heights and weights are fucking bullshit.
Unless they get some kind of fucked up scale.
It's like when they talk about those surveys that determine what men's average penis size is, right? But the way that they get it is by asking men what their penis size is, surveying men. So of course it's like, oh man, that there is no real information in that survey whatsoever.
It's gonna be real interesting, and it does put a little bit more emphasis on the press conference. So be on the lookout for that, guys.
Thank you so much for joining and listening through this megasode. For ahead of Double or Nothing. We're so excited for Saturday. We look forward to talking with you all on Saturday on Discord and coming back to you next Monday for our breakdown episode of the very first AEW show. We're finally here after 9 weeks. It's very exciting, and we're going to see what they have in store for us. They're coming with the big guns because you only get one chance to make a first impression, and we're so lucky as fans to be here at the beginning of something. You get very few chances to be here at the beginning of something, to be at the ground floor, and this is that chance for us. So very, very exciting. Before we go, Jonathan, do you have anything more for these people?
No, man, I'm just, jumping Discord because it's going to be a fun week this week.
Oh, man, it's going to be wild. Stay tuned there if you want up-to-date news as it comes and you want to talk about it with fans all over the world. Big shout out to all of our new friends over there this week. Once again, tinyurl.com/seeingtheelite. And for all of you who've joined us, change the world.